All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Greatness Everyday live interview on YouTube here. We also use this on the Greatness Everyday podcast. My name is Matt, and I'm really excited today to have Jonathan Jones from Jonathan Jones Speaks, a TEDx speaker, Millennial Motivator, which is a pretty cool title, I have to say, and an established author as well. So thank you for joining us. And how this is going to go is if you have any questions throughout the interview, go down and let me know, and I'll try to work those into the conversation here with Jonathan. So Jonathan, thank you for being here. I just want to ask if you can go ahead and tell us who you are and what do you do?
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, I want to definitely say I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to be here. But man, who am I? Wow. I just see myself honestly as a servant because I mean, now I currently speak, and now I currently empower students, empower millennials, and also just share with them like some challenges, some adversity, and things like that. But man, I don't consider myself to be anybody special, but I just feel that some experience that I've had might be able to help a youth. I might be able to help a fellow millennial and allow them to be able to skip some of those steps and almost like have a cheat code to life. So I'm a servant, and I'm just here to serve and empower other people.
Cool, for sure. That's a great answer. It's something that you don't hear, I guess, the average person talking about. And I guess you said you're here to serve. And how did that all come about? Because I mean, the average person isn't doing what you're doing with the kind of the message and the platform that you have, the audience and the impact that you have. So how did that all come about, and how'd you get into doing what you are doing now?
Mm-hmm. Well, initially I was pretty selfish, somewhat selfish. And I say that because my attitude is really pessimistic. Because growing up, I mean, my parents were divorced. However, I didn't really have a need for anything. But then it got to the point where I graduated college and started working at this retail store. And then my attitude was so bad. It was so bad, man. I'm like just terrible, completely terrible. And then it got to the point of where one day my boss, she had to have a heart to heart with me. She said, "Jonathan, let me talk to you really quick." I said, "What's going on?" She said, "Your attitude, Jonathan, it sucks." And then she shortly thereafter went off on vacation. So it was like, take this, and then just left. I was like, wait a minute, Marlene, wait, I don't want to sit on this while you're going on vacation. I'm going to be here for like a week, and you're going to leave me with the sour taste in my mouth. So after she really challenged me there, then she caused me to self-reflect. And during that time, I was working a retail job. I was a part-time sales associate. I was there for the longest time. I complained about everything in the store, but didn't want to do anything to change it. And after that point, she caused me to self-reflect. And from there, this was when I started to realize that I have so much more to be grateful for versus taking the time to complain about everything and nitpick everything. And that was when my point of view, my perspective began to shift to a positive trajectory versus that negative mindset and that pessimistic mindset that I had.
Yeah, great. I mean, I believe inflection points are very key in our lives in terms of somebody, in your case, was somebody calling you out on something that they were observing, right? And inflection points are definitely super important into kinds of changing our trajectory as we go through our lives. So that's neat. You talked about gratitude, for example. That's a little bit about my story in terms of how I kind of started this whole greatness every day challenge to myself to live my greatest life and challenge to others to live their greatest lives. And it started with gratitude for me. So I was doing some reading and listening to some of your stuff. Obviously, I really enjoyed your stuff. You've got a great radio voice for sure. And the no complain campaign, that was kind of one of your initial projects. Is that the case? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's really a tongue twister to say because no complain campaign. Trying to say that 10 times fast, it will twist your tongue up every time. It
I'm
gets.
with you.
But that was actually birthed from my manager giving me that reality check at that retail store, and taking that time. That was then where I began to shift the focus to saying, okay, well, now that my mindset has shifted, how can I help other people do the same thing? And once this began to start, I really just wanted to help people, similar to what you're saying about gratitude. I really just wanted to help people see the bright side of the tunnel and see the glass half full versus half empty. And doing this, that was initially what I was going to title my book. My book was going to be titled The No Complain Campaign. However, but in the now I say that my book is presented by the No Complain Campaign. But that focus was really just to help people focus on positivity, focus on optimism, because we go on social media, we see so many negative things, we turn on the news, it's negative, negative, negative. So I began to think of what is my piece that I can play by helping people focus on the positive, because then we feel so much better. We focus on the positive. When we give to others, we cause them to smile, and then it's almost as if it just passes. It's electric. It's definitely electric. Positivity is electric, and it's contagious. So that was when that started, and it was a social media push initially, and now, but it's really a social media push to help people see the positivity. How can we be positive?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the biggest things that I learned through gratitude, and really caused me to start documenting my journey, is gratitude's contagious. Energy is contagious. Positivity is contagious. All of those things are gratitudes when we're being intentional about them. I really believe the majority of gratitudes should be shared. They should be shared with the people that we're grateful for. They should be shared so that they can almost kind of learn how to be, not mimic gratitude, but learn how to be grateful and things like that. So you talked a little bit about social media. Are there any other platforms or methods that you use to reach your audience? And I guess maybe first, who is your audience and how do you try to reach them?
Gotcha. My audience would range from about high school up until just past college. And I know that's a wide gap, but I only say that because it's students and millennials. So here and there, depending on the work that I do, if I have opportunity to work with a school, which might be high school, I might go in there and do a workshop. On the other end, it might be going to a college and doing a leadership presentation or different things like that. So typically that is my audience, and I typically reach them through social media and also going on campus, doing those presentations, shaking the hands, getting the opportunity to connect with students and connect with the audience, because I love to connect with them almost as much as I love to speak on stage, but getting to talk with people and getting to hear, what are you passionate about? What do you have a desire to do with your life? And then you're able to really make that connection. And then ultimately you're able to really add value to that individual.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Man, even that statement alone just brought up so many questions for me. Number one, like maybe I should have done this before, is where are you? Because on Instagram, I'm following your stuff and you're all over the place. It seems like you're in Atlanta one day and then you're over in Louisiana or somewhere else, and like so many places. For me up here in Canada, I know kind of where the places are, but is it mainly the Southern US that you are like impacting and working with?
Well, at this point, it's really the Southern US has where I've done most of my work here most recently, because I'm based out of Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
And I'm from Louisiana originally, born in Louisiana, and I grew up in between Atlanta, Dallas, and Louisiana. So now, just having the opportunity, when I get the opportunity to either go to Louisiana and partner with a couple colleges down there and speak, having those opportunities, I was like, oh, well, hey, I'll just hop in the car and just drive. Me and my videographer will hop in the car and just drive. And next, then it was Atlanta. I was like, okay, well, Atlanta, I'm not going to drive, but I'll fly. So this past year and the year before that, it's been Texas, and then it's grown to, Atlanta and Louisiana. But now coming up in 2019, we're really looking to get to the West Coast. We're looking to expand a little bit, but we're just going to see where it goes. I'd love to come to Canada, honestly.
Yeah, that'd be cool. It'd be very cool right now. Very cold, actually. For those of you that don't know, we tried to do this last week, and here where I live in Canada, we had a power outage because of a big snow/ice storm. So we're grateful that it's finally happening a week later, but albeit a good day today. What are some of the biggest issues? Maybe you said your audience is millennials. So what are some of the biggest issues facing youth/ millennials today, in your opinion? I'm a high school teacher, so I'd love to hear kind of your opinion on this, just kind of jumping into schools and working with them in a very neat and interesting way.
Definitely. I've heard it called FOMO, which is fear of missing out. I'm sure you're familiar with this.
Absolutely.
And it's just this, it's just this beast that I feel social media has created. Because if we're not careful, then 1 minute turns into an hour, and we're on social media looking at everything that everybody else is doing, and we're like, oh, I want that, or I want this, and then we get so caught up. I'm including myself, because it's tricky. That if we don't go back to what you were talking about, if we don't go back to gratitude, and that's not a daily practice that we have, then we'll get caught up wanting more, constantly wanting more, and not appreciating what we already have. So I think that's one of the biggest issues by far. It's just the fear of missing out, but comparison. And I talked about this on one episode of my podcast. I called it scoreboard watching, because when we scoreboard watch, which is our life, because we're too busy caught up watching what everybody else is doing and saying, well, I wish I had that, or I wish I had this. But on the other side of the coin, you don't know, one, what that individual did to get that thing, or to pursue that career or that journey, or two, the person behind that post and behind that image, they might not really be as fulfilled as they might portray, because we know we put the filter on it here and we cut the video off right here. So everything is perfect and it has the right shade and everything looks so picture perfect. However, you know, just things like that in our society, and just understanding that I feel that, you know, the FOMO and the comparison leads to other things like potentially depression. And then there's, you know, and depression's just, it's just a very dark place. It's cold, and then you're really isolated, and you take yourself away from everybody and everything. And sometimes students might try to numb these things with drugs and various things like that. And I've seen it firsthand, because when I was in college myself, I was at the 12th floor on the library, and I was looking out, and it was a pitch black window, because I went to school in East Texas, and it was somewhat rural. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking out this window, and I just didn't care about anything. And I was like, we just finished the basketball game. My team won. I didn't play. I wanted to quit basketball. I started failing my classes, and I was like, I just don't care. And so, you know, just those things I think are huge points to where, one, that's an opportunity to find something to be grateful for, so that we can shift or will ourselves out of that situation. But two, on the other side, I think that's an opportunity for somebody to reach out and help, somebody to reach out and ask for help, one, or at least make mention, like Mr. Wheaton, I need help. Mr. Wheaton, I want to talk to you for a second. But on the other side of that, this is a long rant, but on the other side of that, I also feel then that I think is our opportunity as well, just to pay so much attention to detail and just notice that, wow, this kid came into class today exhausted. This kid came into class today upset. This kid's angry. Let me just check in with him before I kick him out. Let me just check in and see what might be going on at home, and see if there's something that I can do to make sure that this child is getting the education that they need. They're getting everything that they need, ultimately in Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, there's a lot. Man, you're packing so much into these answers here. I don't know where to go. But it's all true. It's just truth, right? For sure. The social media piece, if we jump onto that for a second. I was talking to a coworker today just about kind of social media affecting how and again, you said we, and talking about millennials, absolutely. In terms of our attention span, in terms of how we view, or our lens that we see the world. It's a challenge to me to try to create content, let's say authentically, because yeah, like you said, we stop the video and who knows what happens after that video, in terms of our mindset, in terms of things that we say, in terms of, I could say whatever I want on a video and then live the complete opposite, off camera type thing. So that's a challenge to me. And looking at everything that I try to talk about with Greatness Every Day. Do you think, or maybe what steps, because I know you think this, but what steps can people take to making their social media feed, whether that's Instagram, YouTube, a podcast, or something like that, a positive place? Because there's so much negativity and so much just junk out there. But how can we kind of protect ourselves in terms of using social media as a positive tool?
Using social media as a positive, that's a great question. I actually talk about this a little bit in my book, and I feel that once we get to a place in understanding that no matter who we are, if we're a student that's in middle school, now some elementary school students might have some social media accounts, all the way up to, you know, our grandparents' age, they might have social media, who knows? But understanding that somebody is always watching everything that you do, and you're influencing somebody no matter where you are, no matter what you put out, even if you just put out a mindless post, whatever it might be. For instance, this is just a random instance, because I was on Instagram just the other day, and I saw that Kanye tweeted out that the Bible app, the YouVersion Bible app, was one of his favorite apps. And of course, somebody like him has an influence of millions of people that watch his every move, whatever tweet he puts out. People are going to know where he is. And then the average Joes are just somebody living their day-to-day life. We have to understand that you're going to impact somebody in a positive way or a negative way by what you put out. So I did a presentation a couple of years ago, and I told the kids, because we're talking about social media, and I told the kids STP for the acronym. I said stop, think, and then post. Because sometimes if we're posting emotional, we're posting after we just got into it with our partner, we're you know, got a bad test grade, and then you ready to just throw something out on the internet. That's how people lose jobs. That's how people lose their livelihoods. That's how kids lose scholarships and get those things revoked. So just always understanding that, one, somebody's always watching you, and two, that your words have impact. Because in my personal book of faith, it says the power of life and death lies in your tongue. And if you take those words and put those out there, you have to understand that whatever you put out is going to come back full circle, especially on the internet, because, you know, Matt, like we might delete it, but it's still indexed somewhere.
Absolutely. It's there. It's there, whether we want it to be or not to be, or not. If we make a mistake, even if it's just up for 5-10 minutes, you never know what's going to happen. That STP model, I like that for sure. And I've had similar conversations with people about maybe not so much on social media, but maybe responding to emails. An email comes in at you, and you want to kind of fire that back as quick as possible, but stop, think, and then kind of send that email away is a great method to get. That can be, you're just adding fuel to the fire if you're just keeping responding back and back and back. So
yeah,
great.
And even one other thing, just with and online, it's even worse. Everything's heightened, because through email, text message, Facebook comment, I can't tell how you're meaning to say this. I'm not sure if you're yelling at me. I'm not sure if you're calm. And then people getting these back-to-back wars on social media. And then people are looking at the comments. They're like, both of you guys are crazy. I don't know what you all are going through right now. I don't know who's right. I don't know who's wrong. But both of you all just appear to be crazy. So we have to definitely take precaution there.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if you're on anything related to Reddit, but I just tried it out to share some of my YouTube video links. And when people, I guess, certain platforms you're more attached personally to, and then there's this Reddit platform where it's very anonymous, in my opinion. And anyway, it was there's just a very interesting place. A place that I tried out, decided not to, just because of some of the stuff that was said towards some of the links I had posted, just out of trying to help people. But it got messy pretty quick, and so I backed away.
And I also think that's tricky, because society as a whole, society is almost pitched to be negative. Because in society, if we even celebrate the good things that we're doing, not in a cocky way or not in a flamboyant way to show off people, we're just showing, oh, wow, this is tangible. You can achieve success as well. People are like, oh, no. Oh, I can't believe you did that. Oh, I wouldn't do that if I was you. And people just always want to try to tear somebody down, as opposed to build people up, because it's easier. It's easier to talk about people. It's easier to tell people what they should do, the books they should read, what they need to be doing, versus you taking the time to look in and do the work yourself, because it requires a little bit more effort.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt. Absolutely. And that's the really the introspective piece of doing that, is where you grow so much. But then at the same time, once you do that, you can add value to other people's lives by sharing that stuff that you know. Earlier, you talked about kind of some of the personal habits, as you go through your days. I just did my first seminar, which was pretty cool because I've seen some of your videos about your speaking events and some other people that I've connected with on social media. And it was my first speaking event. It was really small, very, very small, but it was really neat to just kind of meet some people and share with them about morning routines, which was what my seminar was on. And it was really interesting to kind of take out that step and get comfortable in the uncomfortable, as I've been saying, because even though I'm a high school teacher, doing a seminar or a workshop or a speaking engagement is way different. What are some of the morning routines that you have personally, or do you have, sorry, not morning routines, just daily routines? What are the important things that you need in your day to really kind of set the tone or keep you grounded in what your vision and values are?
Gotcha. Well, first I would definitely want to commend you on having your first event, because I know that's huge, man.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
I'm videos are, and that event was definitely that on steroids. So I'm sure it was a great. We'll definitely talk about that later.
Yeah,
we'll definitely talk about that a little bit later.
sounds good.
But for me, what would I say? Routines that I've, one is pretty simple, and well, okay, I want to go that route. So one, before I go to bed at night, I have a sticky note notepad by my bed. And then before I go to bed, I begin just to write down things that I know I need to do the next day. Just jotting down, okay, get on YouTube, send some emails, write this paper, do that. And lately I've been writing down time increments beside it. So therefore I allow myself a certain amount of time for this particular task. And then after I write all those events out, then the next morning, of course, I bring the sticky notepad into the office, start working on my computer, and then I start a Google timer for that amount of time. And then once it goes off, then I get up, I move around. I might walk outside, check the mail. I might just walk around, just something to break up the routine. And then I'll just get back to it. And then if I feel myself maybe dozing off, then I've lately started incorporating like doing push-ups or doing jumping jacks, just something to shift certain things there, as far as just helping me be my most productive self. And before, I used to say I really didn't watch TV that much. Now I probably watch about 3 different TV shows. I wouldn't say that's part of my routine. However, when I have lunch, since I'm at home, I'll leave from the actual office space, this office that I have in my house, and then I'll go downstairs. I'll heat up my lunch, cook whatever, and then I'll set a timer and I'll allow myself to enjoy a TV show, eat my lunch. After that, then I get back. So I try to do everything on like a time block, because I realize that's when I see the most productivity throughout my days, throughout my weeks, and also just shifting up scenery every once in a while. Because I've realized that if I stay in one place and read a book, I will fall asleep. There's no question about it. However, but just writing out different tasks and then getting directly into those tasks, and then seeing that's been productive for me.
Great. Awesome. I love kind of asking that question to people because it really kind of lets me get into their day and get into their head in terms of what's important for them, what they value and how they use their time. And more importantly, probably just seeing like the commonalities or the things that successful people do. So people like you talked about kind of exercise, even if it's something like just doing some push-ups to break up a task. I've seen people do those rebounders or like mini trampolines or something like that in their house.
Oh, I've seen Tony Robbins do that before his presentation, before his seminars. I've seen him jump on a trampoline, the mini trampolines.
Yeah, I mean, for my height, I'm 6'5", so like jumping in the house isn't going to work for me on a mini trampoline. But yeah, it's just some interesting things to see kind of what the successful people have in common there. Timing is a big one. Scheduling out your days is something that I've really focused on, and a few of my friends have focused on lately, and they've noticed the same thing. Productivity really increases big time when they've been going through and doing that. So what about your book? What is the title of your book, if you don't mind sharing that with us? And what is it about? Because I've seen it. I've seen a few images, but I really don't know much about it, if I'm being honest.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. So this is my book here. It's Process: 14 Surprisingly Simple Behaviors to Skyrocket Millennials to Success. And my book really came about just taking the time and working with my dad. I hired my dad to be my book coach, and he walked me through the process of writing the book. But before I went through that whole challenge of, I don't have anything to tell anybody. I don't have a story to share, nothing like that, Dad. And then I thought he was doing what dads do. He was like, well, son, no, you can share a story. You have something. I was like, no, Dad, I don't think that's necessary. You know, I don't think that's really, I think I'll be fine without sharing, actually. And then it got to the point where after he motivated me and encouraged me in a loving manner. And then I worked with him to get my book published, and then it became a #1 bestseller. But the book is really geared towards millennials as well as students, but just to help us, like you're talking about before, being introspective. Throughout the book, I talk about 14 key principles that have yielded me success in my life. Of course, I have a chapter on being determined. And I talk about goals, like what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? Like, what is like, talk about professional email addresses. I'm talking about dressing professional. It's funny, in one chapter I actually talk about how if it's a black tie function, you couldn't show up in swim trunks and a tank top. That wouldn't be what you would wear to that particular function. So just providing some really tangible strategies, some tangible instructions, and their self-reflection writing prompts after each chapter, so that after you read, you can apply the information to yourself, to your life. You can answer the questions and then see what areas you can work on, what areas you can improve on. Because I've done that in my life. And then I really like using Process for workshops, because when I partner with colleges and high schools, the last chapter I made, Be Educated. So therefore, just showing students how education mixed with tangible life application experience can ultimately yield you to be successful, not just in school, but ultimately in life. Because I believe, I heard my favorite speaker, Inky Johnson, yesterday. I heard him speak, and he shared that education is the great equalizer. And I firmly believe that as well, because if we're not educated somewhere in something, how can we expect to progress forward?
Right, and learn those skills we need, or that information we need to move forward, like you said, and develop ourselves. And I think the really neat thing now is education is changing. It always is, I guess. But we're seeing a lot of kind of the big difference between traditional education and let's say modern education, whether that's in a school or whether that's just in general. Like, the cool thing for me is when I'm trying to learn something about personal development or how to edit a YouTube video, I'm able to really access a wealth, like so much information, literally from sitting at home here in Canada. Personal development, or how to, it's a total game changer when it comes to everything for me. Speaking about education, I guess one of your TEDx talk that was done at one of the universities, maybe the university you go to or one of those universities, and related to your book, talking, I think your talk was on consistency and kind of like goal setting a little bit. Was that the case?
Oh, well, it was the topic was the power of commitment.
Commitment. That was it. That was it.
Yeah, I mean, consistency, commitment, those tie in together for sure.
Yeah.
I had that opportunity to share, and it was a TEDx Kids. So I was like, oh, wow, how can I make this engaging? Oh my goodness. These are middle school students. Typically, I don't really work with middle school students because I think you have to pull some punches here and there working with middle school students. But however, I really just wanted to encourage those students to allow their imagination to be big, because I think now as some adults and as some individuals as a whole, I think it's easier for us to tell students and tell children, you shouldn't do this because you won't be able to make a career out of that. I asked a lot of the young ladies and the young men before I went in and presented that talk. I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, what do you want to do? And one girl was like, well, I want to be a dancer. And I was like, okay, cool. Are you going to do that? She was like, no, my mom said I can't do that because I won't make any money. Somebody else said, I want to be an artist. And they said, my dad said, I can't do that because that won't allow me to make any money. And then as I'm hearing this, it was breaking my heart because students are told these things and told what they can't be. And then this ultimately limits their thinking, it limits their imagination. So I went into the TED Talk and I just shared with them, well, you know, I wanted to be a fireman at first. I had a fire truck and I was like, woo, woo, woo. And then I just began to explain to them what I once wanted to be, and then ultimately what I became. And just sharing with them, once again, just tangible tips. Because one thing I hate seeing is people saying, you need to go out and be great. You need to go out and do this. You need to do that. How am I going to do that? Just go do it. It's like, wait a minute, there's something missing between A and Z. There's something missing in between the two. So I wanted to give the students tangible tips. I encourage them, you know, do what you're passionate about. I encourage them to do the research and then go out and have fun doing what that thing is. Because yeah, you might not make that much money doing it, maybe, but on the other side, you'll have fun. And then if you ultimately have so much fun and you become an expert in this field, you're definitely gonna make money in whatever that thing is. But life isn't about money, as we know, it's about fulfillment. And if that child is having fulfillment through the fun that they're having, living their best life, why not? So that's really just thoughts behind that talk.
Yeah, that was great. And I have to say, we had the same dream growing up about being an NHL player. That was a great story. I got a good laugh about that. Absolutely, man. That was good. I'm sure I wanted to be a firefighter one day and then something else too. But yeah, that was good. I really enjoyed watching the talk there. So what's next on the agenda for you? What upcoming events or conferences, or just maybe you're taking some time off to focus on another side project? I don't know. What upcoming events do you have on the schedule or kind of floating around in your mind?
Yeah, so right now, we've been really connecting with some schools, connecting with some universities, and they're still in the planning phase because they're getting ready to do finals, and you know, they're getting ready just to get out just for the break, and everybody's focused on Christmas. So like, Jonathan, yeah, what you're talking about is important, but we're gonna hold off right now. So I have a couple things up in the air right now, just waiting to hear back and solidify some things. But 2019 is definitely gonna be better than, you know, everybody says that, oh, it's gonna be the best year ever. 2019, new year, new me. But really just focusing on taking time to become more strategic. Just become more strategic and be more intentional. A lot of focus I've been putting into is into my podcast with Speak Your Success. So that's been one angle I've been really focusing on, as well as we recently just launched the app. So there's a Speak Your Success app. So that's where a lot of my focus has been going here lately. But other than that, you know, if we're connected on social media as the tour dates begin to get released, then I'll definitely begin to kick that information out for sure.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And I agree with you. Yeah, every year or every time you're looking at something new changing, it's like, oh, this is going to be the best time or the best year of my life. And it's just going to get better and better and better. Might not be reality. It isn't reality, I guess, although we can focus on those micro improvements, those small improvements that we make. For me, this last year was amazing. There were a lot of highs and there were some lows, and there was just a lot of growth, I have to say. So yeah, I mean, if 2019 is better than 2018, then I'm looking forward to that, I have to say. At this time, I'm going to take the time to say, if you're watching this and you have any questions for Jonathan, go ahead and let them know down in the live chat below, and I'll try to work those in, because we're going to wrap up our podcast episode, our live interview here, with just a few more questions. And personally, these are my favorite questions, just because it is a little bit different. I don't think you know what's coming here. They're easy answers and there's no right or wrong answer. So 2 questions here. Number 1, what makes a great day in your life?
Oh, wow. What makes a great day in my life? I think just the opportunity to introduce somebody to an experience or further opportunities that they once thought were unattainable. So honestly, that typically looks like, it might happen through a podcast, or it might be somebody saying, John, this that you shared with me has helped me or has changed my life. So that I definitely would say would make a great day, because that creates an impact that could ultimately create legacy by pouring out into somebody else who then could pour further.
Oh man, the impact that leads to legacy. That was just a one-liner right there. I might have to go back and quote that one for you eventually. So thinking from smaller scale, thinking up to kind of longer term here, what is your definition of a great life? And this is probably coming down more to what are your key values, or at the end of this life, kind of, if you were to be able to say, I lived a great life, what would that involve?
Oh, man.
Yeah, the heavy hitters for the last. I'll tell you, this is the last hard one for sure.
Oh my goodness. I had boxing gloves in the car because I felt like you hit me with a knockout punch. I just want to go to a quote from a great movie entitled Sandlot. And where the kid said, well, where Babe Ruth said, heroes get remembered, but legends never die. And it would just be ultimately creating an impact to where it would definitely live beyond me. And I say that because like on my podcast, I always want to say great success isn't about trying to hold other people back, but great success and great leaders ultimately create greatness by seeing how you can ultimately influence somebody else, to encourage them to influence somebody else. If it's through a message, if it's through just the way I live my life and through my faith, which I believe that all my messages are intertwined with. And that's the type of life that I want to live. I want to live a life to where I'm gone and I'm out of a room, or I can be wherever, that people will be able to say that John had integrity, that Jonathan's character was intact. And because of him, now I have the strength, now I have the tools to encourage you. Because of him, he created this opportunity that otherwise would have been non-existent. So just in a nutshell, that would be my answer. I know that was a long-winded answer.
No, that's great.
But I mean, that's just really what I truly believe. Because I think that there's too many people, and I think that there's too much going on in life now, telling everybody what can't be attainable. And I think there's too many people trying to figure out how somebody else can be pulled down and how their legacy can be taken away from them, as opposed to seeing how we can keep people's legacies intact and ultimately move the mission and move that individual forward to a person.
Yeah, great. Thanks for sharing that whole idea of, rather than tearing people down and focusing on the negative, kind of edifying them and building each other up, which is really what community is supposed to be. I believe 100%. When you tie so many things into that, ultimately we're supposed to be supporting each other, building each other up, challenging each other, encouraging each other. And that's definitely what you're doing here with your mission, for sure. So let's build up that connection with people watching here, or people watching live or on the replay. So where can they find you? Where can they connect with you? And where do you want to see people?
Gotcha. So my website is Jonathan Jones Speaks, and it's all together, Jonathan Jones Speaks. And there you can scroll down to the bottom. There's my Instagram, my YouTube, and my Twitter. Here lately, I've been really active with YouTube. So I would love if you subscribe to my YouTube channel as well, just Jonathan Jones Speaks also. But man, that's where everybody can find me. Or if you want to, connect with me on Twitter, Jonathan J Speaks. But I would love to interact. I would love to engage and, just see how I can further serve and support students and millennials all over the place, all over the world.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. And I've left the YouTube link and the Instagram link down in the video description below. So it's really easy. You can click it from there, and I'll go through afterwards, add the website. And on your website, it's super easy for people to connect with you so many different ways if you just scroll down to the bottom of that website. So there we go. Oh, we have a few questions here. Thank you very much. Is there another book in you? Coming from Dr. Fred. All right. Is there another book in you? You have something?
Is there another book in me? There definitely is another book in me. That information will be will not be released just yet. We're gonna put that on ice for now. But there will be another book, most definitely, because I definitely want to, like I've been talking about with legacy, and like I've been talking about creating further impact. Writing books, I believe, definitely is one of the best ways to get your message out, and ultimately to encourage other people outside of video content, podcasts, and audios and things like that. So there definitely will be another book. There definitely will be another book to be continued on further details there.
Great. That's good to hear, and I'm sure that you'll have some more good insights from your father with that one. Hopefully. Another question came up just in that last comment here. Encouragement. That's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately in terms of how can we as a person be encouraging, and how can we be encouraged? Do you think that encouragement is like a gift that some people have, or is it something that might be learned as you go on? Just curious to see what you think about that.
I think that's an excellent question as well, Matt. I think encouragement can be learned. And I also think encouragement, well, I think, so two-pronged. I feel that some people might view it as a gift. However, I think that when it comes down to taking the time to encourage another individual, I just think when we allow ourselves, if we're the encourager, we allow ourselves to give authentic encouragement. We say, Matt, I really just appreciate your smile, how genuine it is, what it does for my day. That's not too difficult. However, it just takes a second for us to say, well, how am I going to give Matt some tangible encouragement? Because people say, oh, great job, excellent. Oh, you did wonderful. Well, what did I do wonderful at? Where was this specific area? So therefore, when it comes to encouragement, I think it needs to be authentic and intentional. And in that way, I think encouragement will do what it's supposed to do, or what it needs to do for that person. And what was the other part of the question?
Well, it's just like, I think you answered it really in terms of, is it something that's like a gift? Is something that maybe you're born with, or is it something that's just learned? And I think you answered that for sure. And you can encourage in different ways, like you said, with your words. And I think sometimes encouragement might just be from showing up and supporting somebody at an event, or gifting them something. So there's just an idea that I've thought about lately, and had to sneak that one in here while I still had you live. The last thing here is from Christina Dosh, and she says, that was a really great answer to how you define what a great life is to you. Couldn't agree more. And then great and insightful interview. So thank you very much. So I don't see any other questions here. I just want to say thank you very much, Jonathan. Appreciate it. It's been a good time. We've been able to kind of throw this idea out there for a while, and finally it happened. And looking forward to staying connected with you, and maybe doing some more of these in the future as we go. Maybe when you release your next book.
Oh man, yeah. I mean that definitely be awesome. And I might need to get with you to see how to do this, and then we can get you on the Speaker Success podcast for sure, because this is definitely needed. And I mean, I know you would definitely add value, because I love what you represent. I love your message. And man, I want to stay connected to you, because I know you're going to blow up, man. I know it. I've been watching the videos and seeing what you're doing, and just your consistency.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that a lot of people sleep on. You say, how can I be successful? Consistency multiplied by hard work minus excuses. And I mean, you get it done. So
appreciate that. Thank you. November was a good month. Didn't quite get a video done every day. And the only reason was because I had some things that were more important as the month went on. But almost every day, which is really good. And it was good. It was good. I'm excited to see kind of what the next few months hold, what the rest of 2018 holds. Everybody talks about 2019, but I mean, this year we have a lot of time left in this year, right? Like, I'm ready to go. Finish strong.
There's still a lot of time left, and I don't want 2019 to come just yet, because I enjoy eggnog. So therefore, Christmas can't pass too soon just yet, because I still have a couple more half gallons of eggnog I want to drink.
Hey, I'll be there with you, brother. Thank you very much for everything tonight. And hey, first person I'm going to wish Merry Christmas to. I mean it.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And thanks again, Jonathan. Go down below and connect with him. And I'll leave all the information there, so it'll be really easy to find and connect with him. So thanks, everybody. And we'll talk soon. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks, my friend. Bye-bye.